I've been performing Holy Moly for many, many, many years. And it's a combination of a whole bunch of things that I really love, that really speak to me as a magician and sort of my history doing magic. First, I started as a coin magician. So it's great to be able to do a coin trick that's not a coin trick. The washers, they just feel right in my hands. I love that because I did start as a coin magician. And so to be able to do a coin trick, or essentially what is a coin trick, but use an everyday organic object. I love that. Washers are universal. They're ubiquitous. They're everywhere. They're all over the world. And they really, what's lovely about them is they're all about service. They serve us, but we never give them much focus. It's just an old, cruddy washer, a standard washer you find anywhere in the world. So this is, to me, one of my favorite creations that really tap into the idea of doing something extraordinary with something absolutely ordinary. And this new release, the new gimmick and the new washer I've had manufactured, I think do the best job to date of really hitting that idea of ordinary. I had these manufactured, I used to have them manufactured, they were a bit bigger, kind of an unusual size, almost 50-cent piece. And they had a little bit of a plating on them to make them a little shiny and this and that. And the more I've done this over the years, the more I've really tried to make the washers look more and more like just beat up old common washers. Because in my experience with magic, the more ordinary the object, the more dramatic the response to the extraordinary effect. So having said all that, this new set, including the brand new gimmick where you put your finger through it, this set is being manufactured for me by a true washer company. It's standard size holes. More than ever, this is the standard ordinary washer set, which I love. However, my advice to you, sorry about that, a huge truck going by. Bad sign, I think. My advice to you is to, as soon as you get the washers out of the pack here, is grab a screw or a nail and some sandpaper and really go to work on these, okay? Scrape them up, scratch them up, get them as beat up looking as possible. Sand them, okay? You really want these things to look as beat up like you just found it in a toolbox in your house, or even maybe lying off the sidewalk. Really beat them up as much as possible. Get them scraped, get them scratched. I think that's a really important first step. Because like I said, for me, when I perform these, I want these, I even heard people, when they examine them after this crazy trick, I've even heard people say, stuff like, it's just a washer. Or, this is just like a washer for my kitchen drawer. I've heard that over the years. So people are time and again really impressed. I think it makes a big impression on them on how ordinary, beat up, and down to earth these washers look. This is the classic handling. I've probably performed with, I've messed around with a billion different handlings and versions in real performance, but over the years I've probably workshopped and spent time on 3 or 4 primary different handlings, different pocket management, different palms and things, and I'll be sharing some of that stuff with you guys on this tutorial. But this is the one I performed the very most. Start like this. Maybe hand this to someone, say, what is that? And they say, well, it's a metal washer. And I love the line about the idea, I'm going to show you something with nothing. And I take these out. And I know you're thinking those are nothing, that's something. Those are metal washers. Take a look at that, you'll see metal washers. But I'm not going to do magic with the something, not with the washers. I'm going to do magic with the nothing, the holes in the washers. And that's how I always start. And I hand out one. And I say, go ahead. I want you to choose. Whichever one you choose is the one we're going to do the magic with. And this idea of giving people an absolutely free choice at the very beginning is a beautiful way to start this trick, okay? And they really can choose either one. It looks so fair, but what is the real setup? Well, I'm deliberately holding this washer a teeny bit more at my fingertips than this washer. I don't know if you can tell that, just a bit. Because, boy, this looks fair. And this does a gorgeous job by association of selling the idea that this washer is also legit. But, in fact, this is the double-hole washer. Holy Moly is a great example of how far ahead you can get. Because you start, and so that's the double hole. And in my right-hand finger palm, I have the blank. So typically what I have, if I just want to do the basic handling, roll out into the world and freak people out, is I have these 2 washers, double hole and blank, in my right pocket. And this in my left, okay? Both hands go into the pocket. I come out with this one here. And in my right hand, all I have to do is I can feel the blank, slip it into my finger palm, and come out showing this one. And they get to choose either one. I love that opening. And I go ahead, the one you choose, the one we're going to use. That's where the magic's going to happen. Now, if they choose this one, I say fine. I say that's where the magic's going to happen. Hold on to this. And I put this in their hand. You put it right in their hand, and I keep my finger right on it to the last second when they close their fist. It has a real fair quality, but in fact what it does is hide the hole the entire time. See, I used to do copper-silver transposition, and that was always the big challenge. Switching the silver for the copper, and then getting the coin in the spectator's hand, having them close their hand before, in fact, they could see, without them seeing that the copper had changed to silver, or vice versa, which is a lot. I mean, that's a big, big difference. They're going to spot it. Here, they can watch it to the last second. I love that. Because they're not thinking switch. They're thinking, typically lay people, that you're going to try to steal the coin out of their hand. That's their instinct. He's going to put something in my hand, but he's maybe going to try to steal it. But they can see you've done nothing. Okay? So if they choose, whatever they choose, if they choose this one, I say, great, you hold on to that. If they choose this one, I say, great, this is where the magic's going to go happen. Over this one, you hold on to that one. Either way, they get this one. So the double hole is in their hand, waiting for the crazy reveal, okay? Here, they see the hole, and then a second later, they see me remove the hole. This is Spellbound, the Spellbound Room from Di Vernon. And as I've mentioned in other products, what I love about this is they can see nothing in the left hand. Okay? Nothing in the left hand but the washer with the hole. Maybe this is the one they just looked at. You come over here, you pull, and they see there's nothing in the right hand. There's nothing anywhere. So the idea that this is still the exact same washer that you've handled from the beginning is absolute. There's no doubt. Okay? Keep that in mind. As magicians, we so often get confused and we start thinking like magicians. So the move is, it's held between the thumb and the fingertips like that. And the left thumb is going to lift up and let it fall back. It's going to lift up and just fall back slightly into the hand behind the fingers, okay? So it's, at the same time, the right hand, as I do that move, the right hand's going to come over, perfect justification to apparently remove a hole. And I'm going to actually leave the washer here while that one falls back, okay? And then pretend to pull it. In performance, okay, you're here, and there's, again, remember, they chose which washer you were going to do this with. You do that. Now, all focus. They look at this, people cannot believe, because blank washers are something you don't see much in the real world anyway. They exist. Hardware stores have them, but they're super rare. So the visual's so strong. Everybody's focused on the closed fist, okay? What I love about that is I take this away, and many's the time, wearing my pants, my left hand just drops sort of down to my side, and with all focus there, I just sort of drop this washer, okay, right in the front of my pants pocket. Boom, just drop it right in there, and then sort of my hand sort of settles at my side. So the misdirection is so strong, you can literally just slip this quietly in your pocket, and nobody even notices. Everybody wants to examine this, everybody wants to examine this, and you have this. It's just a pure moment of magic. They get to choose. The visuals all, their hands look empty. For all those reasons, as simple as it is, it might strike you so simple now, that's its power, the visuals of that. And I think it's one of the reasons why Holy Moly is, I think, to date, the best-selling coin trick I've ever released. I get emails all the time from fans all over the world who even say that their front right pocket of their jeans has a little bit of a permanent wear in it because they're always carrying Holy Moly with them everywhere. I want to talk just for a second of different places you can isolate that double washer. There's no doubt having the magic happen in a spectator's hand is maybe the best way you can go. They have contact with it, they open it, they see it, and the person's reaction feeds everybody else's reaction, okay? So that's why the vast majority of times I do it in someone's hand, for sure. However, I have done it in other places, and there is virtue to other places, sometimes for visuals for people, theatricality, giving a pacing, so I want to touch on that. One place is the card case. One place is the card case where, they've chosen one, and so they get to see me. I've got the two. They get to see me take the washer, okay, and it's the double hole washer, and I say, don't take your eyes off this. Watch it, and I put it in the case. So rather than being put in someone's hands in the case, sometimes I'll put it on someone's hand, like if I'm at a wedding, working on those big tables, 10 or 12 people, rather than somebody holding it down by their side here like this, which has a lot of drama, there's a lot to be said for someone holding it in the case right there, okay? Or I'll put it on top of a wine glass. I've done this in a stand-up show where I have somebody sort of walk up close to the platform area and have them hold the case like this, or I even had bounced on their head and you do a little bit of comedy. So don't just think it has to be in the hand, a card case. Another thing I've done is a paper napkin. Taking it and putting it inside a paper napkin, and then they put it in their hand. That can give a real almost nest of boxes feel where the drama builds. They open their hand, then they open the paper napkin. That has a nice drama, okay? So there's another example of adding something to that. A coffee cup. I've been in a Starbucks, an empty coffee cup, drop it in there, have someone put it on the lid, give it a shake. You can still hear it, okay? So I isolate in that. A paper napkin, card case. Another thing I wanted to mention here too, of course, was the flash paper reveal. I love flash paper. Flash paper is so freaking magical for people. So what I've done before is when I want to reveal, is I'll take the double washer, slip it inside a piece of flash paper, okay, like this. Or of course you can do it with a blank. If you want to make a hole vanish. You show a hole, switch in this for the blank. I mean, I think that's great to burn away the hole, right? And here, I mean, here's, of course, you don't do this in someone's hand, not unless you want to be sued. But I think there's a lot to be said. I go through periods where I use too much flash paper, I admit it. Just people love it. It's so magical, you know? So wrapping something like this up in flash paper, sparking it, and then dropping it in here like this. Boom, like that. The flame, everyone loves it, and all of a sudden they see, oh my God, you know, there was one hole, now there's two. And I love the idea, again, of burning these things and beating them up, keeping it all down to earth. Oh, and a coin pouch, you know. These coin pouches, you can get them for a couple of bucks in convenience stores and dollar stores, sort of a faux leather thing. I love these. I'm going to show you an idea and a beat or two that on this video here that I got so much mileage of. Great reactions using this. So this is another way. There's also, you'll be in a situation sometimes where you're dealing with nothing but jerks, frankly. And putting something in their hand can feel, so you sometimes want to control the situation if they're drunk, whatever. And so sometimes, rather than putting the double hole washer in someone's hand for the final reveal, I'll take it and very slowly, nothing in there, very slowly and fairly put that in there like that and have them hold on to it through. And I'll say, you can still feel it. You can feel it. There's nothing else in there. You can definitely feel it. They say, yes. Hold on to it the entire time. I want you to remember, you held on to the washer you chose from the very beginning, and I go from there. So those are, there's no question, most you're going to end up doing it in people's hands, and there's a lot to be said for that, but I don't want you to get dogmatic about that. I want you to think that, it has to be in someone else's hands, because at different times, different places, and for different styles, definitely consider one of these other options. Here's a pocket management idea I only discovered maybe 5-6 years ago, and I've used it a lot depending on the situation. When you're doing a walk-around gig and you're a professional magician, you perform for people, every little bit you can free up a pocket, the better. Because I like to carry, I like to be able to do, I usually think in sets of 5 and 6 tricks at a time. So I'll have a few different things in my pockets for these 5 tricks, maybe halfway through the hour, or if say it's a 2-hour gig after an hour, and then switch those out and get enough for 6 other tricks. Now I can do 15 card tricks in a row for sure, but it's nice to vary it up. So rather than having to commit 2 pockets, so you've got, with the original setup here for the classic handling, was the idea of having 2 in one pocket and 1 in the other pocket, so you commit 2 pockets. Sure, you can have a marker and a deck of cards in there, but it gets busy. Here's a really nice idea. You have the blank, okay, got the blank, and what I've done is I've taken the double hole washer, and the single hole, and I thread them on a nut and a bolt. Okay? Now, first, how organic is that? How perfect is that? But I also love the idea that I can go to my pocket now, my right-hand pocket, and I can come out with everything. Okay? I can go to my one pocket, come out with the blank and right-hand finger palm, to where I want to, and I can have these 2, and they're all ready to go. There's no chance, because I know the double hole's facing at the back end. So I come out here, and I have now notice the other thing too. So, one nice thing about this is as soon as you start removing the nut, okay? This visual, though, totally sells the idea that there's only a single hole in both washers, which I really like, okay? Then I remove the nut, I should say the bolt, right? And now I can very fairly and in complete control, without any flashing, remove the 2. So you have a beautiful job of sort of visually suggesting there's just one hole, which everyone assumes anyways. And there's no moment, because I found with those other ones, sometimes there's that moment where you kind of have to look in the hand and readjust and make sure that hole is covered. But here, you have absolute control the entire time. So there's no chance to flash the double hole. And notice too, is if you don't even want it, you can come, if you want to get this can still be left in your right pants pocket, okay? And what I mean by that is I take these out like this, okay? As soon as I've removed the nut and bolt, I can take the nut and bolt, put them back in my pocket, giving me the perfect excuse so I can show my hands empty at the start. Absolutely empty. Put that stuff away, and that's when, of course, I get the blank in right-hand finger palm. I come back out, and I can separate these and go into it. So I find it ringing in this, using this nut and bolt combination, and this is maybe a little long. You might want to use one that's about half as long, and save a few extra seconds or beats on unscrewing it, whatever. It does a great job of keeping the pocket management all to one pocket now. Give you those visuals, complete control, and even an excuse if you want, like I said, of getting rid of the nut and bolt and then stealing this at the last second. So for all those reasons, I think this is a pocket management idea with a lot of virtues. Here's an opening phase I'll sometimes use, where I basically the effect is that I introduce a blank washer and say, look at this, I found this, it's got no hole, it's a washer without a hole, and I make a hole appear in it. Then I repeat these trick, take out a second blank washer, make another hole appear in it, and so I have two washers now with a hole having impossibly appeared in each washer. And then from that point I go into the classic handling where they get to choose one of the two, and then I make the washer, one washer becomes a blank again, the other gets two holes. So this is an opening phase. I'm not telling you need to do it before you do the classic handling. However, there's a few virtues. First, I think it's a nice way to warm things up. You get more magic, you get more oohs and ahs, you get a couple more gas moments before the big holy moly moment, number one. Number two, I'm going to show you the handling. It doesn't use any more than the three primary washers you're going to be using for holy moly. So I think it's something you should definitely play around with, try a few times, see how it feels with you. That's really one of the big messages of my magic over many years is, as a creator of magic, as a performer of magic, my job, I find, is to create original magic tricks that I believe in, that I've workshopped, that work for me in the real world, and then give you choices, give you options to see which ones will appeal to you. So, for this one, very similar setup. This is my right pants pocket. I got the double hole in my right pants pocket, okay? And I'm coming out real simply, and I've got the hole washer in my right finger palm and the blank, okay? Is at my finger. This time you come out with the blank and say, take a look at this. Now, weird? Now, it's a washer. It's a metal washer, but with no hole in it. And sometimes what I'll do is they'll say, look at that. Isn't that weird? It's actually a metal washer, okay, with no hole in it. And I'll do that switch. And again, don't get paranoid about these kinds of things. This maybe has just been examined. But by doing a David Roth shuttle, okay, from my left hand to my right, and apparently showing it and then putting it back in my left, okay, I'm showing my hands absolutely empty apart from the one blank washer. But of course, all I'm doing is covering the hole with my thumb. Okay, so and the handling, there it is there. They just examined it, say, here it is here, obviously just one washer in my hand. So you can go back, and then I'm going to slip this back into finger palm, okay? As I go back over, I can slip that back into finger palm from here into the right hand finger palm, doing a sort of a shuttle pass back the other way and show it. So it's a very elegant way to show you really only have one washer in your hand, and it really only has no holes, okay? Now, I'm going to do bow switch. And that's where you apparently toss the object in the hand a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, okay? And under cover of the larger action of doing that, you switch it for the other washer. The technique on this is not hard. It's in right hand finger palm, okay? And as I throw, all I'm going to do is let the washer fall, or the washer with the hole, fall from the left hand finger palm down into the hand while I pull this back into the same spot. Now, if you don't use a large, loose action, you won't have the misdirection, the visual misdirection you need. So you really want to get comfortable saying, let's tell you what we're going to do, we're going to try to. And I'm using my eyes, and that's when I do my switch and let this fall to my side. Snap your fingers. Snapping your fingers is a great way also to imply the right hand is empty. And maybe I've got it in finger palm here, or maybe you've slipped it into classic palm. Classic palm, of course, really frees up the fingers for a snap. You can do this and immediately come over, and boy, the hands, when you start mirroring the hands, they work together. It really suggests that both hands are empty, even though this is now in classic palm, okay? Or you can just use finger palm, because I know classic palm is going to be too advanced for some of you. Just use finger palm, using that bow switch. So you take this blank out, and you snap your fingers and a hole appears, okay? You go, whoa. Say, look, I'll do it again. Okay, and you can put this down on the table, or you can hand that to somebody. Always great that they can examine the washer. Their experience is they examined the washer with no hole, and a second later, now they can examine it with a hole. Now, with this still in right hand finger palm, I go to my pocket, okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the double-holed quarter, okay, in my pocket. I'm going to put the double-holed quarter in, and again, you got to watch out for sound here. You don't want any noise in your pocket. Going to keep that in finger palm and come this out at the fingertips, okay. So you took out a blank, made a hole appear. Taking out a second blank, and I do the exact same thing. You're either going to do bobo switch again, okay. Snap your fingers, then open your hand showing a hole has appeared, covering the other one. Okay, it's a great production here like that. Or you could do this. You could have this blank here, okay? Come over and basically give a wiggle, very much like you're going to do at the last phase with the spellbound move. Give a wiggle and have a hole appear like that. However, where I like the blank to end up is in the right-hand finger palm, where I need it for the classic holy moly ending. So, taking this out, second time, doing the bobo switch, okay? Snapping your fingers, then showing this here, second hole has appeared. Leaves you in the position you want to be in. Because now when I say, can I have the other washer back, all I do is come over and I put my finger on the back, turn this over here. That makes sure there's no way. I got it covered from the front, I come over, covered from the back, okay? So I can immediately take, and again, just one washer in his hand, pick this up, and where am I? I'm in the exact position you want to be in for the classic holy moly handling. So, you've been able to take out a blank, make a hole appear. Great magic trick. Makes sense too, a hole appearing in a washer where there should be a hole. So there's a sense that there was something missing. Then you do it again. You repeat the impossible trick, giving you two washers, which is great. Then you go into the classic holy moly handling and you end in this crazy position here, and they can examine everything. You introduce a coin pouch, and people can hear there's something inside the pouch. They spill it out, and they see it's in fact a washer, one hole washer. And you say, we're going to try something with the washer that's pretty unusual. And you say, look, I'm going to see if the washer can actually find a selected playing card. Okay? So we're going to try this in just a second. You start by saying, I'm going to riffle through, and you say stop whenever you want. They call stop. You divide the pack in half. Okay? Then you spread out the cards, and they have 100% free choice to literally touch any card they want. Let's say they touch here. They touch the 10 of clubs, for example. And you say, okay, remember the 10 of clubs. Keep it in mind. We're going to see if we can actually find the card with the washer. Okay? So they touch the card, any one they want, 10 of clubs. You say, actually, let's take it one step further here. Say what we're going to do is I'm going to go through the cards. I'm going to have a second person touch, and you get one person involved, have another person involved. Say, look, let's do this. I'm going to go through the cards. You say stop whenever you want. You riffle through. They call stop. You cut right there, and you say, okay, you stopped at a card. In this case, what? The 10 of hearts. You say, remember the 10 of hearts, and you very fairly cut that into the cards as well. Okay. Take the cards, put them back like this. Put this on someone's hands. They can hold on to it. So what have you done? You've had two cards selected very fairly, put back in the cards are back inside, and you say, watch. I'm going to see if the washer can find one of the cards. Just like that, you ask someone, open up. They find it's empty. The washer's gone, totally vanished. Nothing in your hands, nothing in the pouch. You have somebody else open it up and ask them to pull out the cards, and when they do, they find, wait a second, the washer has appeared inside. You cut the cards right at that spot. Okay? Right at that spot, the washer's resting on top of one and only one card. And it is, in fact, the first card. Now, what I typically do is start putting stuff away in my pockets and this and that. And it's at that point when I start to put stuff away in the card case in my pocket that I steal the blank, okay, out of my pocket. Okay, you can start putting away the card and say, oh, I forgot, there was your second card, right? Okay, let's try that. And so you just take the washer now and you say, let's see if we can do it. And this time I'm going to even let you hold on to the washer, okay? And you take this, put it back inside, and they can see it. They see you put the washer back inside the pouch. They hold on to the pouch, okay? So they've got the pouch. They can feel the washer in there. You assemble the cards back up, and you can put them back in the card case if you want, or just have them in someone's hands. Snap your fingers again. And now, of course, you can put away the card case if you want. Snap your fingers again, okay, and say, let's see. Did the washer vanish? They go, no, I can still feel it. You go, okay. Is it still there? They go, yes. You go, wait a second. I wonder if this happened one time before. Go ahead. They spill out, and now they find the hole is gone from the washer. Vanished. So if the washer wasn't able to go and find the second selection, I wonder about the hole. And at this point, typically, I got people going, no way, no way, because they can see it in their mind's eye. When I first started performing this, I wasn't sure if they would be able to see it in their mind's eye. But now, the more I perform, the more I realize they actually get ahead of me. They get the image, which I was surprised. You then ask someone to name the card. You spread through the cards, okay? Go through the entire pack, and there's only one card in the entire deck that actually has a hole running through the corner of the card, and it is the second selected card. So this is I've been fascinated with tricks involving holes moving, vanishing, enlarging, shrinking for 30 years. And this is probably one of my top 5 kinds of tricks that use this. And again, you can do this before Holy Moly, you can do it after Holy Moly, incorporate somehow. The basic, and whether you're going to use a Bobo switch, whether you want to use a Bobo switch to switch out, then put it in the pouch, the blank for this, or whether you want to do a shuttle pass, is really your style. But the basic handling is very straightforward. When you want to perform, the deck can be shuffled, ordinary deck, and what you've done beforehand is you removed a card, and you've punched a hole with a hole punch, okay, with one of these babies, of course. You've punched a hole in the corner of the card. When you want to do this trick, what you need to do is you need to ring this, palm it, or pocket management, put it in your case, take it out, whatever. This has to be on top of the deck. As long as that card is on top of the deck, then you got your Holy Moly stuff. You can do this anytime, okay? Now, what is the exact handling? First, you introduce the washer, okay? And whether you want to do a thumb palm again and apparently put it inside there like that. And all I'm doing is taking it, putting it into the thumb palm, and putting my fingers. This looks so good. I mean, it looks so fair that you're putting that inside there. I mean, everyone would be convinced it's going inside. Or you can do simply a false transfer from your left hand to your right. Apparently, you have it here. Open the pouch, and if you don't want to use a pouch, you can use a paper envelope. You could just apparently put it back in your pocket. There's lots of different ways. The card case, not the card case in this case, but I really do like the pouch. I think it's the best way to go, and I pretend to put it inside, okay? Another way to do it is to take it and apparently put it inside here, but what you're going to do is sort of let it fall behind, okay? So you can see it here, apparently put it inside here like that, take your fingers out, and it's behind. Whichever way you want, you're going to apparently put it inside, and you need it ended up in the left-hand finger palm, okay? It goes down the table. If I'm around friendly people, I put it down the table. If they're grabby, drunk people, I put it much closer to myself. If I'm standing up and it's near the edge of the table, near my crotch, I find people don't reach for it much, okay? So it's there. You can even put it in a glass if you want to further isolate it. Now, this is in finger palm. I say call stop whenever you want. They call stop. I've got, remember, my marked card. My card is at the, and in fact, it should be on the back end. You want the hole on the back end towards you. They call stop wherever they want, and where they call stop, you cut the pack legitimately, getting ready for your riffle forces. It sets them up psychologically. That goes down to one side. You spread through, and as you spread through, my right fingertips are going to grab the washer off the bottom here and slide it along as I spread out the cards. They can touch any card, which I love. Okay, I show it to them, Queen of Spades in this case, and when I reassemble the cards, all I'm going to do is drop the washer now, which is below here, directly on top of the queen, and then turn everything on its side. This is important because if you don't, there might be people might get a glimpse of a funny gap in the cards. So as soon as you assemble, squeeze firmly with your thumb and fingers and hold everything like this. They can't see anything now. This goes inside the card case. Okay, no heat. First card's been selected, put back in. You left it exactly where you left it in the middle of the pack. Okay, and everyone thinks the washer's here inside. Second one here, this is where I use the riffle force. You just need to force the top card. Lots of ways to do this. Cut the pack, keep a little pinky break here, and I'm going to riffle, and then when they call stop, boom, like that, I cut the cards, okay, and I thumb off the card and show it to them. Look how fair that. I love the fact there's no dupe involved here. They'll never later on go back and go, wait a second, did I really? I've had, people often swear they handled the card themselves and showed it around. So you show, boom, 10 of hearts, take that, cut the cards, and have that put in the middle of the pack. This is on top of the first packet, okay, like this. And all people think at this point is 2 cards were very freely selected, okay? And then he said he's going to use the washer to find them. Okay, so I come up here like this, and I'll go, I like this idea. Sometimes I'll either hit it like this, or I like this, the drama of this drop, watch. Just like that, as if something happened, though nothing did, of course, okay? Now you go through and you can have someone name their card if you want, and they can see, wait a second, they can see that. This is when people go, no way. It's the first of several no ways with this trick. I cut the cards, you can leave that on the table if you want, lift up the cards, and they find impossibly, there's their card. Now, I often act like I forget the trick. I go, there we go, like this. I say, and they can see there's nothing inside here, and I start to put the pouch away in my pocket, or I put the card case away as I start to put it away, and that's when I get the washer, of course, that's when I get the washer with no hole, and I just have to perform a simple switch at this point. They think the trick's done. I take this, and again, if you're going to use Bobo switch here, say, look, let's try one more thing with the washer. This time I'm going to let you hold on to it, okay? And they don't think you just switched it for a washer that's got no hole and you're covering it with your finger. There's no reason for them to be thinking like that, okay? So you could do the Bobo switch, or you could do a shuttle pass, whatever works for you, okay? And then open the pouch, drop this back inside. And it's nice the way this builds, because this second time you're going to say, let's try it again, and this time you hold the washer. So now they're thinking, good luck, Mr. Magic. I'm holding the washer through the pouch. There's no way, okay? And obviously, instead of a pouch, you could also use a balled up paper napkin. Similar handling where you pretend to put it in, ball it up, leave it on the table, then show the washer's gone, then repeat with the blank, okay? So you don't need one of these necessarily. But I've switched out now. Switched out this, like this, and I've got this palmed. I mean, this is simple because at this point, assemble the deck, you could have someone shuffle the cards, whatever, snap your fingers, name the card, whatever, okay? You can put this away in your pocket. Or even, I've found, once people start going through the deck looking for the 10 of hearts, 10 of hearts, 10 of diamonds, I think it was 10 hearts. Once people start going through the deck looking for it, all focus is here or here, right? So no focus is on your hands. Perfect opportunity to take both your hands, slip them into your front pockets, and just relax. You're standing, relax. It's a very common relaxed pose. They start going through. Now, whether you want to reveal the crazy vanish of the hole in the washer they examined and were holding on to, whether you want to reveal that first, then go through and find the hole, or go through and find the hole on the 10 of hearts. Have someone name, you go through the cards like this, and then you slowly got this drama moment of slowly pulling this out, and everyone freaks out seeing the hole there. Now, if the hole's there, what's fun about that is they both point nicely. The theater of both point to each other. So it depends on your personal style, I think, whether you want to reveal the washer first, then the card, or the card, and then the washer. But I think the fact that they can examine everything, and people go through the card, they examine the pouch, the fact that you have this beautiful 1, 2, really beautiful build card trick, again, I think makes for a really memorable piece of magic that, try it a few times, I think you're going to find it's very powerful. Okay, I want to finish this tutorial by looking at least some of the ways I've used the new gimmick to make people go crazy. This looks so good, and as I mentioned in the email I sent out to my fans recently, it was a total no-brainer. I slapped my head so hard when I first thought about it. Was right in front of my face the whole time. I even released a trick almost a decade ago called Tight Spot. And with Tight Spot, you put your finger through the tiny hole in a key. A household key often has that small hole. Because for many years before Tight Spot, there had never been a trick released. You had your finger going through a bottle cap, and your finger going through a coin, and your finger going through a book of matches, and all these things. But none of these things had pre-existing small holes. And going from a perfectly blank thing and putting your finger through it is magical, but it requires a certain suspension of disbelief, of course. And my theory with the finger through key, Tight Spot, which again I released almost a decade ago, so it's an old idea for me, this idea of having a pre-existing hole and how it would increase the credibility of putting your finger through there. My theory was that people would believe that there'd be a slightly more open door, a seduction, because belief is a seduction. Belief is a choice. I don't think you can force people to believe. At the end of the day, they need to choose. And having a small hole in something, I wonder if that's going to increase the odds of them believing enough so that they really get on board and they're really, really shocked. And in my experience, that's exactly what it's been. I've experimented with different kinds of things, and I find if there's a small hole already there, they believe it more. So having said all that, with a brand new Holy Moly, you get it's a specially machined washer with a huge hole in it. You'll find some of you, if you're huge, you can use your pinky or your middle finger. Most of us, we can use the tip of the first finger or even the thumb. It'll fit on one of your digits, okay? Number one. Number two, don't get caught up with the idea that it has to be all the way down the finger. Okay? If you've got a bigger finger and it only fits this far down the tip, that's fine. Which is why the thumb thing, which I love, which I'll show you, only goes about, half an inch down onto the thumb. All right? So there's lots of things you can do with this. Lots of things you can. Let me just show you a few quick ideas. Okay. Easiest, straightforward idea is to take this, and I think the best on the angles, is to show this, come over and apparently put your thumb right through the hole. I mean, that looks so good. And again, it's this idea of being able to, with a spellbound, being able to show the left hand absolutely empty. You have a washer, and you could do this before Holy Moly or after Holy Moly, or just on its own. Have this examined. Hey, you can do the classic Derek Dingle idea. Walk up to a table, say, hey, and you look down and you notice, oh, did anybody drop this washer? No one dropped this washer. No, okay. Well, look, my name's Jay. I'm actually a magician. I'm going to show you a quick couple of cool things. And you just go into it like that. So it can be a good opener on its own, just these two. Okay, you don't have to put it all together in some full-on routine. So here I'm showing the left hand undeniably empty. This is in finger palm. Okay, I come over and I'm apparently pushing my thumb from behind through it. And all I do is I do the spellbound idea, let it drop, and then push the thumb through. And I find it's got there's something kind of forceful, and I mean, this show looks so good. I mean, boy, the right hand's obviously empty. The left hand was empty. That has to be the same washer, okay? And people don't think, is that the same washer? Okay, don't get caught thinking like a magician. They see the washer. You come over here, and they see you push it, and it's through. Now, obviously, mirror practice. You want to time it so that when you come over, okay, you don't want this falling too soon, just as you're coming over, or they'll see that. Nor do you want to have to cover it for a really long time. You want it just to flow, just to really flow through like that. So I find that's great on angles, okay? Really nice on angles and looks good and all that stuff. You can finger palm it, okay? Or you can clip it. And clip is nice because you can handle the washer, even if this is clipped. This is what I'm going to do here, is rather than coming over and putting it like that on, instead I'm going to come over, and I'm going to, with the thumb, actually go up, okay? So I'm here, I'm going to come in like this. The thumb is going to go up and leave it that way, okay? So there's a real nice flow to it. Here, thumb up and in. Now, instead of the thumb, you can also push your first finger through this, and that has a nice flow. Let's say we're going to clip with it, okay? We're going to come over here. So we're here, okay? We come over and we push the first finger through like that, okay? Now, I gotta say, I think I prefer the thumb more than the first finger because I find I've got such small hands. What you don't want is for people to see, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal, but I really don't like people seeing the gap between the hole and my finger, okay? I find that kind of, it doesn't, I mean, depends what you want to do with your flow and all that. But so here, if I'm using the clip, okay, I've got the washer here. I come over, and again, I'm going to cover in this instance. I'm going to push down on that and immediately bend my finger just enough to get it in and push through like this, okay? And I can use Ramsey subtlety if I want by having that up there. I can do this, put that on there like that, and because this is hidden up in finger palm, both the palms of both hands can be seen, which I like, or you can even do this and have kind of as if you're spinning it around the finger, and again, to really show the hand's empty. So the finger through is a different kind of feel, okay? You can do clip, or you can do from finger palm, boom, it goes through. Different feel. But the nice thing about that is now you can go from this, and as long as it's not too far down, if you adjust it up to here, you can now do sort of a thimble vanish. you can get it into thumb palm. From here, let me show you this very slowly. I curl in, fingertip here helps a little, pushes, and I get it into thumb palm. So what that allows me to do, which is cool here, is to take this, okay, and I can apparently pull it off my hand and show it's small again. So that's very pretty, okay? Performance speed is like this. There's the washer. Maybe they just examined it. You come over, let me get my timing right. I'm watching the camera too much here, sorry. You come over here and you put your finger, boom, right through it. I mean, that looks great. Then you can take it and say, look, boom, like this. And you want to get the timing so that you're putting it in the hand. You could use a little bit of Ramsey subtlety here. This is in finger palm, but if you cup your hands, they can't see it. So you get this nice, obviously right hand's empty, fingers through. Come over here, do the thing. Really exaggerate, pulling it off a little bit. This hand falls to your side, and then you open and you show the hole is small again. So that's a beautiful sequence. From small to on your finger to back on there. Okay, so we did the thumb. We did the index finger. You can also do the classic David Roth's karate coin. And so what he had is a $50, solid $50, flipped it in the air and jammed his finger through it. Okay, and there's where that, what are the credibility? It's one thing to push it through where there's already a small hole. There's no hole, you did it in midair. It's sort of, but in a bar, people are drunk on an offbeat, I think you get a nice reaction. So for that, the karate coin handling, what you do is you have this can be examined. While they're examining that, at your side, you literally just slip this on your fingertip. That's at your side, down to your hands, okay? Down by your side. Now, and you can flip this. You're going to have to practice even flipping with your right hand, okay? And I'm no master of this. But you're then going to come and grab it, and it looks, they just examined this. If you get the timing right, it'll look like you just skewered the washer on your first finger. And of course, this is hidden down now in finger palm, okay? So now what you can do, you can either hand this out, look at that. Now, this is where magicians think too much like magicians, because I'm going to suggest something else in a second. There'll be a whole bunch of you go, what do you mean, you hand out the gimmick? Won't they see? You know what they see? They see that you enlarge the hole by magic. That's what they see. They see that you jammed it. Now, it all depends about a few other variables, if they like you, if they believe in your magic to that point. Because if they don't believe in your magic or they think you're an amateur, they're going to devalue everything you do. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. There's only so much a trick can do to help you. You need to have a certain presence and performance and to pull off certain kinds of illusions. It's all part and parcel of the experience. But here, so you can do the karate, and if you've done the karate coin version where you skewer like this, instance, now you can do the thumb palm, right? You can once again do the thumb palm, apparently put it in that hand and restore it, okay? You've done the same sort of thimble switch again. So that's another way. That's the original karate coin. Very physical. You could also do, I really do think this is very pretty as well, is you can use this kind of technique here. I think you'll agree that showing your hand absolutely empty and standing up is a little bit easier, of course, but say we're going to try something and maybe this has just been examined, you take it back. And here I'm using a technique called Downs, the Downs great magician, Downs, and he used this palm, and the palm is here. You see, I'm holding it in the crotch of the thumb, there. Okay? And this is something else. With practice, you'll be able to, with one hand, it's almost a variation of the finger palm, get it up into the palm that you want. But it's because you really, obviously, it's not very practical. At some point during your trick, you got to bring both hands together and load it in there. You need to work on being able to do that with one hand and get it into Downs. But having got it into the Downs, now you really are in a situation where you can show your hand. I mean, you can take this back from someone and look at that. I mean, beautiful. The hand is undeniably empty. Got to keep this pivoting on their eye level. You don't want it dipping down, they'll see. Here like this, then here like this, and as the left hand sort of pulls focus of the hand, now it's very easy to get this to fall into finger palm and come over, and again you're doing the finger version or the thumb version or whatever you want. So that's the Downs. Oh yeah, the last thing I want to say too is at the end of Holy Moly, if this is your situation, right, and everyone's looking at this and freaking out, very easy to put your hands in your pockets, relax a beat, okay? Trick's done. Maybe you're going to go get a deck of cards, you put away something in your pocket, whatever, put away the magic marker, and that's when you can get this gimmick in finger palm, right? And now, as sort of an offbeat, you can say, look, can I actually take the two small holes and blur them together into one big hole, and then hand that out. So again, it's counterintuitive for some magicians. Why would you hand out the gimmick? Because again, at this point, they've only seen small holes jump and join and all that kind of stuff, and you end up here. And now, just as on the off beater, have someone flick on their lighter, saying, I'm gonna warm up, they'll warm it up. See if I can take the two small holes and just kind of, you can see it happen, have them come together into one big hole. Hand that out too. My last advice for you on this whole holy moly thing is to start walking before you run. Learn the basic handling, the one where you got one finger palm and you're just gonna do the spellbound move. Do that for your sister, your mother, your brother, your friends at school, whatever. Do it at the right time and right place, because I find when exploring new tricks, the sooner I can get some sort of, oh my God, over the top reaction, the more confident I feel. And confidence is huge in all kinds of live performance, any kind. You want to have the confidence to know. So start simple. Just do the basic handling a few times. Get it, log in the bank, in your confidence bank, some oh my gods, which you're going to get with Holy Moly. And then you can start experimenting with all this other stuff I've shared on this tutorial. Have fun. Fun is contagious, and I find it's one of the things missing from modern magic too much is people take it so seriously. But if you're fun and easygoing, and I found in magic, if you're fun and easygoing, and if you play down the tricks a little bit as if it's no big deal, people respond by making it an even bigger deal. But if you perform a trick with a lot of ego and confidence, or not ego, and it's like, hey, this is absolutely amazing, this is going to blow your mind, I'm the best thing ever, it'll often undercut, and people are less likely to freely share just how amazed they really are.